I was born of the sea. I eat fire coral and I piss salt water. I scratch my back with a whale's dick and I loofah my chest with his ball sack.
Wow. That got way more dirty than I ever imagined it could have been. Like I'm thinking like maybe like Aquaman or Jack Sparrow, and then we're talking about ball sacks. Do you think I've ever even heard of this movie? This is
Yes, this is a very, very big movie from not that long ago.
a very, very big movie from not that long ago that has to deal with the sea. And pretty sure SpongeBob is not involved with this.
I mean, it probably shouldn't be. Um, let's see. Let me see how recent this is because I don't remember the specific year. It's from 2017.
2017, a raunchy, apparently a comedy.
Yeah, I would say it's a comedy for sure. To be fair, I actually haven't seen this, but there was a reason I picked this quote besides it being hilarious. So, um,
Can you throw me any bones here?
it was a remake of a late 80s, early 90s TV show.
Oh, is it from Baywatch?
It is from Baywatch.
Okay. That falls into place. I hadn't seen Baywatch either. Yeah, I had no idea there.
You and I have unfinished business.
Oh? And what's so stinking about it?
The moment you capture the feeling, spirit to something. I think this just might be my masterpiece.
All right, welcome to the season 3 premiere of the Average Joe's Movie Club Cast. This is Justin.
And I'm Joey.
And in this episode, we're going to get into some wild, mind-bending anime with Satoshi Kon's Paprika from 2006. And then a modern whodunit from Ryan Johnson with the movie Knives Out from 2019. That's it.
Just a heads up, we do discuss our full thoughts on film, so if you've not seen the movie, please skip forward if you would like to avoid any spoilers.
And if you want to be a part of the movie club, make sure to hit that subscribe button, bell notification, leave a comment. Let us know you're out there listening. We'd love to hear from you. All right, so we're done with the holidays and we are into 2021, Joey.
Yes, finally, 2021. Here we be.
Yeah, so a lot of fun stuff over the holidays. I took 2 weeks off of work, which was quite relaxing. Had some diet.
I'm gonna interrupt you right now. You took 2 weeks off of work during the holidays.
Yep.
I'm just gonna do this at the camera, so you can see this. They can't on screen, but off screen, but you can, because that's how I feel about you getting 2 weeks off during the holidays.
Joe is jealous.
Jerk. Well, yes, I am the store manager at retail. It's like Christmas, work till you die.
Yeah, well, when I worked for a TV station, there was no such thing as holidays, so it's very nice working for the government, and I get Monday off too, which is nice. MLK Day.
Yeah, no, I don't ever have Mondays off. Mondays are a conference call day, so yay.
Looks like you're gonna get a case of the Mondays.
Oh yes, I have a case of the Mondays on every day that ends in Y.
So yeah, I guess we'll dive back into my dieting journey. Keep it short, simple. Yeah, I hit my first major milestone. I lost 34 pounds, so I'm at 275. Feeling pretty good.
Nice.
My midweek weigh-in was I'd only lost a half a pound more. So, I mean, I think it's because I took a break during the holidays, so I was like doing some drinking. So getting back on the diet after that, you make a big jump whenever you get all those that yucky food out of your system. So yeah, whenever you're more cleansed, it's only like a pound or two a week. But yeah, my goal is like, one of the things I've been doing is like once I hit my goal weight, I'll actually shave. So I just recently shaved, and then next time I'll shave will probably be in like March or April when I hopefully hit 250. So we'll see. And the goal is to get to 200 or 220, maybe by October-ish, which would be a year of dieting. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, good luck, brother.
Yeah, it's I guess I mean, I don't mind being on a diet. I mean, I kind of like 2 nights ago, I snacked a little bit at night. My only snacks I let myself have are like nuts and pork rinds. But man, I hit both of those pretty hard, so I was kind of regretting that afterwards. But just the snacking, it's once you pop a few snacks, it's hard to stop sometimes.
Oh yes, for sure.
All right. So did you get any Christmas gifts?
I got money, which I needed very badly, because moving was expensive and hurt a lot. Having to pay rent out of back-to-back checks hurt a lot. But I got money and money and money, and then one of my boys gave me the green. It was a special like limited release of some Magic cards. That was cool. And that was it. I didn't get anything. Oh, I almost forgot. I got the Steelbook of Princess Mononoke, and I got, even though I already had the Die Hard box set, I got Die Hard, and it has a slip cover that looks like a gift, like a present box, and it says "Ho Ho Ho" on it. And when you open it up on the inside, it has like greeting cards from like Nakatomi Plaza, like Christmas cards. So that was pretty cool.
Neato. I didn't really ask for much this year because ever since I moved into my house, I've wanted like rocking chairs for my upstairs porch, and I've always like kind of had it on my list. But this year, like I had two things on my list. I was like, I want those rocking chairs, and I want a new bullet blender because I'm doing the whole like fruit smoothie thing. And so I got those two things. Not much else. I got some other nice stuff, but I guess the real highlight of Christmas was the kids got a VR headset from Santa, and that thing is pretty awesome.
For the PlayStation, or was it an Oculus?
It's an Oculus.
Nice. Oddly enough, that's what my kid got, was an Oculus.
Okay.
Also from Santa.
Nice. Yeah, I've been really into the boxing game on there. I just beat the whole thing on normal, and I tell you what, it's a workout. It took a while too. Like midway through, there was this big thug of a guy. I just could not beat him, and it really kind of trains you to be like more patient in terms of like your fighting style and that. I mean, you're like, it really feels like you're in the ring, like really going toe to toe with somebody, and yeah. That more conservative approach, and then I pretty much beat everybody else in the game first try. So when I play again, I'll probably go back to the first guy and do like the endurance mode, see if I can beat any guys that way. But yeah, pretty fun doing the VR stuff, and it has a lot of other perks. Not sure if you've heard of them.
Other perks of besides exercising? No, not particularly.
I mean games, and I mean there's different like web experiences you can do. So
so not perks, it's features. Yeah, I mean
features,
obviously It has games, and you can watch movies on it.
Yeah, I recently downloaded the Netflix app, and like basically you show up in like this country lodge with like a fire, and then there's like a big screen TV, and the Netflix movie is there. But I'm not sure if I want to watch a whole movie on with a headset. I was having a lot of trouble with like the lenses fogging up, so I recently got some like defogging spray to put on the lenses to like stop it from doing that. So yeah, it's interesting. The kiddos they use it a little bit too, so gotta constantly be making sure they're not destroying it because they destroy everything.
Yeah. How old are your kids again? Like none of them are 12, right?
Right.
You probably want to monitor how much they're using that. Since they're under 12, it can mess with their eye development.
Yeah, I was seeing that a little bit, but I mean, the way they sit like right in front of the TV is probably same difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it. I don't know. You might want to do some research. Specifically how it. But it's one of those things where it's like sitting in front of the TV might damage their eyes, but I don't think it'll stop them from developing, kind of deal. Whereas like VR stuff, so and like 3D, can actually mess with how their eyes look at stuff or perceive it or something. Because we had when the 3DS was real big, that was the thing that we used to have to tell people. And now that we sell the VR for the PS4 and we sell the Oculus, or kind of sell the Oculus, that's the thing we have to talk about. So, so just some food for thought, if you want to go with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty. It's such a cool device. But yeah, they're just playing in a little spurt. So far so good, I think.
Yeah, that might not be too bad then. Did you or any of them get sick when you first started playing with it?
The most I've gotten sick on VR was we were in Lego Land down in Florida, and they actually have a VR roller coaster there. So you're actually in like the whole VR thing and riding a roller coaster at the same time. And my vertigo was like I've never had like my equilibrium was so thrown off after that. Like the whole day I felt like junk.
Miss me with that shit. No, thank you.
And what made it worse is I rode the roller coaster 2 times in a row. The first time I couldn't ride it with the VR headset because my younger son wasn't old enough for it, they said. And then the second time I rode it with the VR headset because, I wanted to check it out. And while it was super cool to be in like this virtual world, like racing Legos and stuff and actually like feeling the experience on the outside with the roller coaster, it really messed with my head.
Yeah, I'll like I said, miss me with that.
Job's kicking my butt. Lots of riding. I'm kind of more into like a tech writer role now, so I'm not doing like meeting minutes like all day long. So that's been pretty exhausting, but it's a good job, so can't complain there. And who you want to go to the Super Bowl? Got the second round of the playoffs coming up.
I mean, I will be very surprised if it's not Mahomes versus Aaron Rodgers. I would be thoroughly surprised if it wasn't the two of them in the Super Bowl.
I'm just hoping it's not either. I'm not. Hopefully it's not the Packers or the Saints. I can't stand both of them. Wouldn't mind anyone else. I could kind of go for like a Bills LA Super Bowl maybe. Bills Bucks maybe. Something like that. That'd be my...
Oh, yeah, you want the Bills so they can get their ass kicked by Tom Brady again in a Bills versus Bucks? They've only been getting their ass kicked by him for 20 years.
It's a much different Bills team than those days, though.
Well, yes, but still. One, if it's the Bills in the Super Bowl, you don't bet on them. And if it's the Bills versus Tom Brady, you don't bet on them. I mean, but I honestly think it'll be Patrick. I think it'll be the Chiefs and the Packers replaying Super Bowl Uno. So that's my thought. But
and I'd be all on the Chiefs if that was the case.
Well, yes, because for obvious reasons, and I can't blame you for that. If you were just randomly out walking around somewhere and like Aaron Rodgers was, you just bump into Aaron Rodgers, would you be like, I'm gonna fight this motherfucker, or like, how would you?
Like discount double check, bitch.
I mean, to be fair, he has more Super Bowl wins than the Minnesota Vikings.
1.
Yes, his 1.
All right, moving on.
Hey,
this is coming from the guy that doesn't even like NFL.
Not really anymore. No, it doesn't mean I don't know things, but I mean, all you had to do was just be like Ohio State and then go about your life.
Oh, right.
To beat the shit out of Clemson, which, hey, I guess if I spent half the season not playing and then half the season focusing on one team, I should beat them too. But
Didn't happen for Alabama.
Oh yeah, they didn't spend the whole season practicing for Alabama. They spent half their practices for half their season. Not half their season. Half their practices for their season, which was a half season, practicing for the rematch with Clemson. And then, bullshit targeting call. But, such is life.
All right. So, what's new with you?
Well, this is the first podcast in the new place. This won't be the first recording since we had our Criterion Hall or Criterion Collection. But the first podcast in the new place. That's really the only thing. Still unpacking. Getting used to driving a lot further to work and that kind of stuff. But outside of that, that's really it. We got a new router. That's been pretty lit. Because router that I had. The router that I had was from like 2013 or something, so it couldn't handle, like, the most it could put out was like 100 megs, and now we have like a gigabyte one, and I got it on clearance, so it's like half priced. So yeah, we're getting faster speeds on Wi-Fi now than we were wired last week before we got the router.
Sweet. Yeah,
then nothing else is really new. Just working. Been rewatching the MCU. So.
Okay. You seem like you're closer to your mic now, so that's. And the walls. The wall seems like it's pretty close behind you, right? So it's probably better acoustics in that room.
Yes. I was in a much bigger room. I'm in a much smaller room now. Plus, I have carpet and not wood. And I probably am a little bit closer. I don't have the same desk anymore. That broke while moving, so I have like a regular like office desk that has all my other stuff, and I went out and bought like a little $40 desk to put beside it to form like a small L to put this stuff on it. So I am probably a little bit closer to my mic because there's not as much room for it, even with it on the arm. So.
All right, you ready to get into some movie talk?
Let's do it.
All right, so we got our movie pick'em game coming up first at you. And it's my turn. So, with anime being the theme this week, would you go with Howl's Moving Castle or Spirited Away if you had to pick one of those two animes to watch next?
Either one of them, because I have not seen either one of them.
You've never seen Spirited Away?
No. I've only seen like one Miyazaki movie.
Totoro? Or Princess Mononoke?
Mononoke.
Oh, man, you're missing out. Ghibli's awesome.
I have intention to watch them. I just haven't at this point. But yeah, either one of them.
I mean, which one would you watch first?
Probably Spirited Away. But, like, honestly, either one of them. There's no, I have the preference. Like, I want to watch both of them. So.
Okay. I've only seen Howl's Moving Castle once. I think that's my favorite Ghibli movie. I've only seen it the one time. I do own it. Need to watch it again. I've seen Spirited Away like 3 times. Once on the big screen, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I look forward to getting back to Howl's Moving Castle at some point. I actually need to do a rewatch of pretty much all of them. It was right when I was getting back into movies. Whenever I went through most of the like popular ones, I still need to. There's still a few I haven't seen. Like, gosh, I'm trying to think of what the last one I saw. It was about like raccoons.
Animal Crossing?
No. Raccoon Ghibli movie.
Guardians of the Galaxy?
Oh, it's Pompoko. That's what it's called. That was wild. Guardians of the Galaxy. Basic.
Trash pandas for life.
All right. Okay, let's talk about some movies we've been watching lately, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, Joey. So for my categories, I have nostalgic, I have sentimental, and I have hits the spot.
All right, I have I Love Spies, Slow But Good, and Better Than I Remembered.
All right, what's your Spies?
Spies is Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Huh?
Yeah. Currently
Oh yeah, because
rewatching
you're
the
doing
MCU.
you're watching a Marvel rewatch, right?
Yeah, I'm doing the Marvel rewatch. It's actually right now is where I'm at. I haven't watched past this yet. So this is the second movie I believe in Phase 2, if my memory serves me correctly, and it just kind of it's just this great spy movie. Lots of action, of course, too. But when you first see the Winter Soldier and he shoots the magnetic mine under Fury's car, and then there's the big fight scene between Cap and him and everybody on the bridge. It's real. It's so good. And then the movie changes kind of the landscape of the MCU. It affected Agents of Shield. Um, so there was just a lot of good stuff going on in it. It's been my favorite for quite a while from the MCU, and then after the rewatch here, it's still currently number one, but we'll see if Thor and Guardians, who are right behind it, switch places with it or anything.
Nice.
Ragnarok specifically for Thor, not Dark World or not confusing or anything.
Yeah. I remember really liking that opening sequence of Winter Soldier, like whenever Cap's on the boat or whatever, knocking bitches out with his shield. That was BA. But then after that, it was like, I don't know, I wasn't feeling that movie. But on a rewatch, man, it hit so much harder, and I was glad that. Well, I mean, of course, you're gonna give the MCU another watch at some point, right?
Yeah. Oh, you mean when he beat the shit out of George St. Pierre on the boat? Yeah, that was pretty lit.
Well, just like how he was knocking bitches around with his shield, it just had this more intense, realistic feel that what the Russo brothers brought to it. So
Yeah, for sure. Realistic while throwing a shield made of vibranium around. Leave
you
it to
do.
Justin.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
All right. Let's go with your sentimental.
All right. So with the Christmas season, I watched a couple Christmas movies I hadn't seen before, and one that I hadn't seen in a long time, and that was The Family Man with Nick Cage. First watched this flick whenever right after I started dating my wife Christina, and now 20 years later we watched it again, and definitely hits the spot with gosh, it's kind of this hodgepodge of Christmas movies with some elements of Scrooge in there, some elements of It's a Wonderful Life, all kind of, and there's even some Crash in there. So there's a scene where Don Cheadle is yelling at this Asian store clerk or whatever, and I was like, am I watching Crash? This is odd. This is supposed to be The Family Man. What's going on here? But yeah, man, the kids are adorable in it, and how it's one interesting thing is because obviously Nick Cage has gone into this alternate reality where he's his family man all of a sudden, and while his wife is looking at him they've been together all these years, he's brand new to the thing. So they're there's this one scene where he has an opportunity to make love with her, but he kind of pretends he's sleeping instead, and which kind of makes him a little less creepy, and a little bit on down the line whenever they have a few more moments together is when they finally hook up like that. And so I thought it was a thoughtful way of doing that. Gosh, it just hits me in the feels. I mean, I always wanted kids growing up and be married or whatever, and kind of looking at it all these years later in retrospect, it just brings back all those good feels, and definitely know what it's all about having kids that age, and they'll test you, but you love them. And I think the last thing I want to say is I love movies when you're watching a guy be the smartest guy in the room. I mean, he's kind of he's kind of like a Gordon Gekko at the very beginning, so it's really cool to see him have that kind of approach to life. And they do a really good job of integrating that throughout. He never forgets who he is as this rich eligible bachelor, even though he's in this family life. He goes to a Christmas party and he's enjoying a fine cigar, and he's reveling in fine dining, and there's a scene where he goes to a store and he just loves this suit, and then his wife comes in and is it's a $2,500 suit, there's no way you're getting it. And he's I feel like a better person than this suit. Some good scenes there. Yeah, Family Man, it did enjoy my rewatch of that. All
Nice.
right, so where are we going next? We're going with not as or better or as good as you remembered. Is that what it was?
Better than I remember.
Oh, okay. That's even better.
Yes, that would be Pan's Labyrinth.
All right.
Yeah. So my roommate Carl and I watched this with our friend Rosa because me and Rosa made a deal last year that she would watch like 5 gangster movies if I watched Shaun of the Dead, and then we expanded it to where I gave her 2 more movies and I got like 4 more movies, so we're already through like all 3 of her movies and through like the gangster movie part, and so we're just on to some other movies, and Pan's Labyrinth is one of them. And it's so much better than I remembered. Like I'd watched it when it first came out, and I didn't view movies as kind of the same way I do now. And bro, there's some good dark fantasy going on. Set in the Spanish Civil War, and then you got this girl, and she's following a ferry around and meets a fawn, and I don't know why, but the way the fawn's face looks, it reminds me of the doll in Saw. Like obviously not with the red lines, but like the shape and stuff. It just has that same similar like the way it looks kind of deal. But yeah, it's definitely creepy. I mean, the Pale Man is creepy, and then the everything that's going on in the story. Like her stepfather's just a piece of shit. But it's really good. I think everybody should definitely watch it if they haven't seen it. If you're lucky enough to have like the Del Toro box set, like my roommate is, it's in there. It's also in the collection. I think you talked about it, liking it a lot in our collection video. So it's definitely going to be one I'm going to pick up now at some point.
Yeah, I first saw that in the movie theater up there in Charlotte, and yeah, I guess it really didn't click with me then, but yeah, on a rewatch, what I did was me and my oldest son watched it, and I kind of read him the subtitles, and yeah, he was really into it. Kind of surprised me how it does get pretty violent at times. I mean, that's why it's rated R. But he loves creepy things, so it was right up his alley. So it was a blast experiencing that with him. Now I have seen I saw Guillermo's other movie like that, The Devil's Backbone, which is basically Pan's Labyrinth with a boy, but not quite as interesting. Throwing that.
That's on the list to watch and the list to own just because of the spy number.
Oh yeah, 666. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And then you got The Spirit of the Beehive. I think I watched that last year. Yeah, pretty sure I watched it last year. And it was interesting seeing kind of the influence of these kind of movies that are making kind of commentary on the Spanish Civil War. And I definitely like Guillermo's how he did it better. But I'm not much for subtlety. Sometimes can be a bit not my cup of tea. So that's definitely what Spirit of the Beehive's all about.
Yeah, I mean, me and Carl also just watched that doing our movie shuffle, and
Good
it's
timing.
one of those things. Yeah, it was part of the reason I picked Pans as the movie to watch, the second movie to watch that day, was because we had just watched Spirit of the Beehive, and we wanted to kind of compare it. So obviously, Spanish Civil War settings. Is this really happening? Is this all fantasy inside the kid's head? Parallels. But Guillermo wasn't held back, by the times of when Spirit of the Beehive came out, and the government was very into censorship in Spain. So lot more stuff where you kind of had to be subtle. But I think it was overly subtle, and me and you talked about that a little bit. But it got lost when I started yelling at you about Paprika. So you can blame that one on me this time, I guess.
It happens. We'll just have to save more often.
Saving's good. Autosave would be great. Why
so
isn't this
much-
a video game?
So much for the illusion of us talking about this for the first time.
Oh, well, you can edit that out or whatever.
No, I won't. We'll let it go. All right. So I'm going to talk about another movie that you've already heard me talk about. And I'm going to try to talk about it differently so you're not bored to tears.
Well, maybe in case they were wondering, like, this doesn't sound like their normal back and forth. It's like, well, because we've already did this.
Get on with it.
Get over here. What, huh? Let's go with your hit the spot.
All right. So on Christmas, my first choice to watch was not Wonder Woman. I got to that a little later. It was Soul, the newest flick from Pixar, and man, this just the first few moments of this movie of like a jazz teacher like explaining what it's like to really get in the groove of what it is to play music. I mean, that connected with me like hook, line, and sinker. And then you get this awesome techno music as like he all of a sudden falls into like this, other realm of like unearthliness. I mean, you see like the big like stairs up to the great white light or whatever. For as much of death reference or like as much about the afterlife as this is, it's pretty, I would say, agnostic to any in particular belief, just to throw that out there. But yeah, it's just so imaginative. I mean, it kind of has like the Inside Out feel in terms of like, these little bubbles with all these little personality. But yeah, it's all about like his passion for jazz. He ends up getting put in a situation where he gets paired up with this pre-life soul who doesn't want to go to Earth. And so he has to kind of inspire her to want to go and live. So that's kind of the premise of the movie. It's a wild ride. I really enjoyed it. It just really hit a sweet spot for me in terms of, like the music element there, and just so imaginative. Pixar, they're just brilliant. I would put it in my top maybe 5 or 6 Pixar movies. Somewhere up there. It's really high. Soul.
All right, yeah, I got to look into that. It's definitely on my list to watch. I'm behind on several of the movies because of my embargo for a few years, but I watched like 2 last year, so we'll get there.
Nice. All right. So, what's your last one?
Last one is Slow But Good, and that is that is The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. So, going into this movie, I was really expecting, like some crazy shootouts, in robberies, a Western, Wild West shit, basically. And that is not at all what you get in this movie. It is very slow and deliberate in taking its time to get to its point, and it does it well. I do think they spend a little bit too much time with it, but because it's almost 3 hours long. But they did it really well. You only really see the one robbery, which is the last robbery of Jesse James, and then basically you kind of see him just be paranoid. And it's all done really well.
Brad Pitt, right?
Yeah, Brad Pitt's Jesse James. Very young Jeremy Renner is in it. Very young Zooey Deschanel is in it.
Okay.
There was someone, Sam Rockwell's in it.
Casey Affleck, right?
Yeah, Casey Affleck's Robert Ford. And him and Brad just worked so well together. Especially that the scene where they assassinate him is just so poignant, and it gets this great music going on. I really wasn't expecting about the 20 minutes that came after that, showing up to what was going on with Robert Ford afterwards, and then to his death. But it was good stuff. It's overall it's a good movie. Just be prepared. It's gonna take a little bit of chunk of time to watch.
Yeah, whenever I finally watch that again, I'll definitely put on the Tag movie. That feels like I've watched it for the first time because, I watched that forever ago. But yeah, I've heard so much about how artfully done it is. Great cinematography from Roger Deakins. So hopefully get back to it sooner than later, like I say with most things. All right.
Let's hit your nostalgic bug.
Ba-dum-boom, ba-dum-boom, ba-dum-ba-dum-bum. James Bond. This Goldeneye I watched that over the break on Netflix, and yeah, that was my first Pierce Brosnan. That was my first Bond movie period. So Pierce Brosnan was my first Bond, and what a better way to kind of start like trekking through these movies on Letterboxd. So I love the Russia element. I mean, gotta love that old N64 game. So many of the scenes of the movie are just like, yep, right out of the N64 game. Remember that so well. Gosh, it's so much sillier than I remembered. I mean, you got Bond like riding through the streets of, I think, St. Petersburg in a tank, and I mean, the it's pretty good action. I mean, there's a scene where like he's chasing after his plane and the plane's like diving into this like gorge and he jumps off a motorcycle, skydives into the plane and gets in there enough time to pull that sucker up and fly out of there as the plant below blows up. Okay. Sure. But I mean, James Bond's good fun, good gadgets in this. I love that exploding pen, Boris. I'm invincible. Bond girl, I would say, is kind of, whatever. Yeah, I like how it's kind of like this satellite that what is it, sitting down like an electromagnetic pulse to like disable things. Kind of underutilized, but yeah, good show with going back to some James Bond movies. Should be interesting. I should probably like watch one that I haven't seen, then watch another one that I have seen. Maybe that might be a good way to go, just to kind of keep things fresh. But yeah, hopefully watch most of the 007 movies this year.
Nice. I mean, I feel like since you just started at the beginning, like you should probably be like, all right, I started with Goldeneye, so this is Pierce. I'll watch all of Pierce's movies, and then all of Sean's movies or Timothy's movies or whoever, just that's probably how I would go about it since you're not going from the beginning. But
well, shoot, I should probably watch Timothy Dalton next because he only did like 2, so that'd be real quick. And I hadn't seen either one of those. All right, let's get into our first feature movie of the night. Joey hit me up for watching some anime, so I picked Paprika from Satoshi Kon. I saw his movie Perfect Blue a couple years ago. And with the Inception connection here, definitely wanted to give this one a watch. It had been like on the top, like this and Ghost in the Shell have been on the top of my to watch animes forever. Brief synopsis from IMDb. When a machine that allows therapists to enter the patient's dreams is stolen, all hell breaks loose. Only a young female therapist, Paprika, can stop it. Podcast gods, please keep the recording healthy and strong, and thumbs up from Joey. And please keep us focused and no ranting at each other and breaking the interwebs and having us to start over again.
Well, you just saved, so if we have to start over, it won't be very long, because if you ask me the same question, you're going to probably get a similar response.
So, Joey, did you watch this in Japanese or English?
Brother, this is an anime category. What the fuck language do you think I watched it in?
You watched it in the language of origin.
Yes, of course I did. Of course I did. I can't believe.
I saw there was that English dub, and I was like, oh, English dub.
You know what? I'm done with this podcast for tonight. We did an anime category, and you watched the anime in fucking English.
I don't think I've ever watched an anime in anything but English. I mean, it's an animated movie. It's not like it.
No. This isn't like we're watching Beauty and the Beast or anything. We're watching a Japanese animated movie. That is why it's anime and not an animated movie. Like, it's different. It's Japanese. Oh. I feel like we're back in season 1 again.
I'm not. I mean, I'm just not. I am how I am on this. I mean,
I understand. Like, as much as I'm surprised, I shouldn't be surprised that you watched this in English.
Well, I mean, let's see. Okay, so would you watch Coco in Spanish? I know that is an American movie, but that is a Spanish story, and you can easily watch it in Spanish. So if you go to watch Coco, what are you going to watch it in?
Its actual native language that it was done in is American, but I would have no problem.
Moroccan.
Moroccan. I said it right. I meant Moroccan. But yes, it's in the Queen's language. Yes.
But it would be so much more culturally authentic if you watched it in Spanish, Joey.
Yes, but see, now we're translating it from English to Spanish, and stuff may be lost, just like when you translate from Japanese to English. Things may not translate 100% correctly, and then, I don't know, does it bother you when lips don't match the words that come out of them? Because it bothers the fuck out of me.
Nope. I actually thought it. I think the only dub I've watched that was the case was Police Story, and that actually made it a little funnier, to be honest.
Oh man, I watched Rumble in the Bronx and it was dubbed and it was so noticeable. It bothered me so much.
Uh,
But the movie itself was good, but oh my god, it bothered me so much.
does it bother you in the Italian stuff? Because it's all
What?
80, like all like the Dollars trilogy is all ADR.
I mean, that definitely seems like it matched up from what I remember watching not that long ago.
Okay.
But it may not have been that bad. But yeah, no, when it's bad, it's bad.
Hmm.
But no, Coco is done in English, even if it is about Spanish stuff. So yeah, nice try, but
That's
miss me
a
with that shit.
Man. This conversation always comes up on the movie Facebook post, and I always stand on my little island, being like, I like the dub.
Look, if you
I like
like
to
dubs,
relax and watch movies.
I mean, if there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a personal preference. Like,
True.
but I'm disappointed in you in this particular instance.
Never crossed my
This,
mind.
I mean, it never crossed my mind to watch it in English. So I mean, I guess that's fair.
There you
I
go.
guess
There you go.
that is fair. It's not like I'm gonna stop being friends with you. I mean,
I think that was a conversation we had like at the very origins of the podcast. Is because I thought you might be on my dub train, but no, not many people are.
no. Let me. How many Kurosawa movies do I own? How many other Japanese movies do I own? You know, I have The Killer and
Did you read my
Hard Boiled.
did you read my killer review?
I did read your Killer review. I had a
English
I
dub
rated it.
available.
I rated it much higher than you did, and I liked
Okay.
it more than Hard Boiled.
Really?
So,
Oh
yes.
wow. Paprika.
What? Sidetracked. See, I told you not to ask them, and now we're sidetracked.
All right. So yeah. So Paprika, let's get into this. So yeah, this is definitely a mind
Spice.
bender. It is, and and I looked this up. It's a spice in Japanese too.
Oh, nice. Good on you, brother.
So yeah, I mean, I know whenever I do my letterbox movie thing, I think I'll say something like "spice up your dreams with paprika" or something a little sassy like that.
Spice up your life
Dreams. This
for
movie's
every
about
boy and
dreams.
every girl. Oh, come on.
We're doing the Spice Girls now.
There you go. You said spice up your dreams, and that's the first thing in my head was spice up your life.
Oh wow.
I
Joey
product of my time.
yells at me about liking dubs, but then admits his Spice Girl fandom.
Bro, look, I like what I like, and I'm not ashamed of it. So, like, whatever.
Oh goodness. All right, but on to Paprika. Yeah, this is the kind of movie where I think going into the third act, if there is a third act of this movie, because I think there's like the first act and the second act, and then the rest of it, as you like. Well, I guess that would be the third act where you're like, where you really cannot tell what's dream from reality. And I think I pretty much just held my hands up and was just like, I don't know what's happening. I'm going to try to take it in the best I can. Oh yeah, we're going to go with it. So much symbolism, dreamy, surrealism throughout this bad boy.
Symbology?
Symbology. I don't suppose we've talked about the Inception stuff yet, have we?
Not this time.
It's like a dream within a dream.
No,
We're in the second layer.
What's happening? Am I running on walls?
Oh,
I
my
need to get my
goodness.
symbol.
All right. So, yeah, I knew about the whole Inception connection coming into it, and it wasn't as apparent. Like, the opening definitely so with, like, there being him in, like, multiple different dreams, like, going from one to the other. So I definitely saw it there. And there was a few scenes that kind of reminded me of it, especially, like, the hallway scene. But for the most part, this movie was not as matchy to Inception's plot as, like, what I was kind of imagining. But that was different for you, you think?
Well, I didn't know, like, have the Inception knowledge, and I guess maybe I should have, since, you know, you kind of took my gag and tying the quote to the movie. So, good on you there. But no, we were sitting there watching the movie, and we were just like, oh man, this is like Inception, kind of, kidding around at first. And then she starts running on walls and shit, and we're like, this is fucking Inception. Like, Chris Nolan just sat here and was like, this would make a good movie. Let's see, running on walls, yeah, dream within a dream. Yeah, who do I want in this movie?
Yeah, so speaking of Dream Within a Dream, so like it starts off in like that circus, fantastic animation, right?
Oh yeah, it's just so beautifully drawn. And then like all the colors are just so vivid and out there, kind of like a dream. That's really honestly what I recall the most from this movie, other than being like, oh, my mind is blown, is how beautiful the movie itself is, like how well it's drawn, how vivid the colors are. And if you've listened to any of the podcasts before, like I love vivid colors and imagery. It's been part of the reason I liked Umbrellas.
Sure, and that random ass parade in this movie, that was like filled with colors.
Oh yeah, there's just
the
colors.
Frogs and the little weird Japanese dolls.
Yeah, it's just everywhere. There's so much color.
Was it just me, or was there a lot of Zig hailing in this?
Oh yeah, it definitely was. When they were in like the dreams and there's the soldiers or whatever, it's just, and I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah. So So yeah, to start off with, so we have this cop, and he's getting some like dream therapy from Paprika. And so he's like in this like circus, but then he gets part of like caught in the act, and it's very kind of like devious around him. And then all of a sudden, he sees himself in like a on the train like suspense movie where he's like getting choked out, and then he's seeing this image of like someone getting shot. And I guess that's from like, so he has a trauma of like not being able to catch this murder suspect or something. And so he relives like seeing this person die in front of him over and over again. That's what's going on there.
Yes. And I think some of that changes, some of the imagery of that changes later in the movie. But yeah, he sees the person dying on like the hallway, and he can't chase the person through to catch him. And before that, I think he's all of a sudden on a train being choked out, but someone comes from the back and pulls a gun.
I think it's Paprika.
Yeah, she pulls a gun or hits him over the head, and then they're having like another scene where they're doing pictures, and he's like, "Hey, do this again."
Right, and then like he's like Tarzan, and she's Jane, like swinging through the jungle or whatever. So like, but I guess what you kind of notice is each one of these like levels is kind of like a distinct kind of has a movie feel to it, which definitely plays into his character along the way. A lot of very. Did you want to hit on that point?
I was about to say yeah, because isn't there a scene later on where like they're in one of the dream sequences and like each one is representative to a different movie theater, kind of. And,
I know they're in a movie theater and they go like through a movie theater screen, and like the cop says like he's not into movies, but that's because like he was a kid and like wanted to be a director with his friend, and I think he had a falling out with his friend, so he like lost that passion or something. And then there's that great little it's kind of like a scene from Pulp Fiction. Remember how Uma Thurman's like doing the that's Square Daddy-O or whatever. And so like you see that same like dotted line deal in this movie when they're explaining like mirrored perspectives or something.
Yeah, no, I was thinking if there was like a scene where like he's talking to Paprika and they're just kind of standing on this road, and on each side of the road it looks almost like a Carnival House entrance, but it is supposed to be a movie, and each one of the movies was like a different, like one of those scenes from his dream or something. I remember that. I don't probably, like I said, at that point
there's so much imagery. It's kind of hard to remember. I mean, the whole experience of this movie is kind of like coming out of a dream. Is just like, oh, I remember that and that. And it's just it really
these pieces, but how
simulates what it's going for there.
Yeah, like I don't. They gave you a dream experience in a movie, and it's like, how are we supposed to talk about it? Because I don't really remember anything other than it was pretty and had lots of colors, and it had the really fat guy.
Yes, it did. A lot of kind of anime tropey stuff in this, more so than what I can recall in a lot of the other animes. Lots of like sweaty, like out of breath characters. The cop looks like most cops in anime movies.
Or
You
if it's
know,
not a cop, it's like the older person who
or like the wise master or whatever.
the wise master, or like the older person who's like he doesn't do anything, and then the person tries to come fight them and they just beat their ass.
Yep. Really, female sensuality and groping is definitely involved. So should we talk about the big fat dude?
Oh, dude, that one scene where he's eating and the waitress comes and she's like, "Who had this?" And he's like, "I did." And who had this? I did. And who had this? And it's like,
He just nonchalantly breaks apart his chopsticks and starts munching down. Man, that guy, he was a massive. He's such an interesting character because, like, on one side, he's like this man child, so you kind of take sympathy and like his innocence, but at the same time, he's just, such a glutton and like so. Yeah, it's weird because like at some points they really try to make you sympathize with him, but at other points he really comes off disgusting. Like, I mean, the first time we see him, he's like stuck in an elevator and like his coworkers having to like pull him out of there.
yeah. And then he's just like, oh, he's a man child, but he's also this genius who created this device, and it's like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I thought the detail on him was a really really good aspect of this movie. Something an anime would have with more human characters. Having those different. I mean, it's not all just ridiculously skinny people throughout the whole thing. Most of them, but not him. Definitely not him.
Yeah. And also, I guess with him being so like large and obese, like my understanding is so many things in Japan are a lot smaller because most of them are smaller and shorter, and so it just seems like it would be like a really large fat person would have some problems over there,
Sure.
getting about through some stuff. I don't know if that's completely accurate, but it's just something that I was thinking about.
There are sumo wrestlers, so there's a couple. All right, so enough stereotyping the Japanese body types, I guess. All right, so I guess we should get into what the gizmo is here. It's called the DC Mini, and so you wear this and you can go into other people's dreams, but and at one point they talk about like it's been implanted or whatever, and then like it's like way more powerful because I guess I think I was reading that like it's not restricted yet, so it has a lot more power or something.
Something, because it wasn't finished. I remember like Paprika was saying when in the verse scene that it wasn't finished, and then like 3 of them got stolen or something. The 3 of them got stolen, and then there was some way that it was enhanced, or because it wasn't finished, there was no restrictions, and they could do some stuff they really weren't supposed to be able to do with it.
So what the conflict in the story is, someone steals it and they use it to like make people like try to kill themselves in their dreams, like running out of a window or something.
Yeah, she definitely tries to make Paprika, but it's the Paprika in real life and not Paprika in the dreams, I think.
Did you instantly catch on that the lady scientist was Paprika, or did?
It took me a little while, like before.
Me too.
I figured it out before they just straight up showed it.
Yeah.
But I was but yeah, she tried the person who stole him tried to get her. She went to jump over a rail. She was in a dream and she went to go jump over the rail. It was like a railing. You would see it like a concert event or something like that, and she was actually jumping over the railing of like the top of a balcony on the top of this super high apartment building, and someone caught her. And then they went back to that scene later, and she jumps over that same railing in the same dream sequence, but she isn't jumping off of a building.
I think a big theme here in terms of dreams is like dreams as an escapism, and then there's this whole movie theme in it as well. Movies are an escapism, so like she is kind of in real life is really reserved, and then like her alter ego Paprika, who she is in the dream world, is so much more like charismatic and loving and stuff or whatever. So that's kind of like what she wishes she could be. And then like I guess the big scientist guy's name is I don't know what his name is right off the top of my head. But anyways, he imagines himself as like a toy robot. So that really kind of captures his like childlikeness, and you could definitely see why he'd want to go into his dreams because, he's probably not, too thrilled with being in his body on most days. So as being a big guy, I can relate there.
Yeah, but I mean, both of us are larger gentlemen, but yeah, I don't think either one of us have ever hit that point where because that was
It's really big. I
that.
can't imagine. I mean, the heaviest I've been was 308, and that's not a comfortable body weight.
Yeah, that's last time I was weighed. That's about where I was at, and I'm probably still around that because the holiday season is just hard for me to do anything related to cooking or anything. I was just eating out a bunch, and I've been eating at home a lot more since we moved. So still not necessarily healthy, but better than eating fast food 3 times a day because that's what I was doing there for like 2 months. So
Yeah, one of my quickest weight gains in college, I was eating Taco Bell after I got off of Books a Million every night, and yeah, I packed on some weight pretty darn fast. Didn't help that I had the old Jim Beam back in the dorm room either.
oh, Justin, have booze? Nah, you'd never.
Okay, Mister, I don't like alcohol.
Uh, no, no, no. I like alcohol. I don't like it as much as you like it.
That sounds so awful. Thanks, Joey.
Okay, to be fair, I don't like it as much as a lot of people, I guess, to be fair. But when I do drink, I have a good time.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to exactly determine if Paprika is just this whole mess of a movie at the end, or if it's is this fever dream experience by design. I mean, obviously it is. Satoshi Kon's a brilliant director, and there's so much cool surrealism and symbology in this bad boy that it's by all intent, and how they even figured out like how to piece it all together is pretty brilliant. And like we said, the animation's great. I would compare it a lot to Cloud Atlas because like that movie feels like a huge mess like all the way through because it's jumping from all these different storylines. But I'm a little more forgiving of Paprika just because it is like making it this whole like dream experience. Um, I had the strongest feeling like towards the end that it was just going to suddenly end all of a sudden. I mean, did you get that? Did you think that was going to be the case?
Yeah, it felt like there was a couple times where it was like, it's just gonna end here, and it was gonna be like, huh? What?
And I thought the first time I thought that was going to be whenever like you're seeing this movie screen and all of a sudden like the sun's like setting or whatever and the cop's like, yeah, look at me. And then it says the end, and figured, oh, that would surely be it. But it went on another 20 minutes after that, and then kind of randomly ended, whenever he's now. Do you know anything about the movie posters he passes right there at the end when he actually goes to see a movie?
I don't remember. I'll be just straight honest. I don't remember.
One of them's Tokyo Godfathers, which is a movie from Satoshi Kon, which I haven't seen yet. But it's cool that like he references his own movies in here. He actually died early. He's already dead. This was his last movie.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, pretty sad.
Yeah.
All right. A lot of elements about the end kind of feel half-baked, like the chairman being the bad guy, the fact that the cops after this murderer, the fact that the big guy's friend is apparently unconscious and he goes and has a dream with them. A lot of those elements like feel not like very spacey and like not totally understanding what's going on there, but yeah, I think the movie's all about like just kind of giving you vague images of a lot of things, and it's all part of this dream experience. All right, so let's go into a few of my highlights. First of all, did you butterflies? Did that you catch any of those?
I feel like I remember that a little bit. I mean, I think if we're gonna talk symbolism of butterfly, coming out of its cocoon from being um, like a worm or a larval, its larval state into a cocoon, into a butterfly, changing and being beautiful, yada yada. Since
Well, mhm. Well, I mean, there's a
since you know,
scene of like Paprika. She's like pinned down into like a table, and like he like puts his hand like all the way through her and splits her open, and the more timid girl comes out of him,
oh yeah, I remember that. And
comes
I
out
was
of
just like,
her.
oh look, it's Keanu Reeves.
Oh yeah, is that in Matrix that kind of happens?
Like Matrix 3, where he like, or maybe 2. I don't know. In one of those wonky sequels, he sticks his hand inside of Trinity and like squeezes her heart to get it beating.
Oh yeah, that was
And
in
then
two.
yeah, and then in the in Paprika, where he sticks his hand is like right
Like her
where you would,
pelvis.
yeah, it's like right where you would be getting her warmed up for some later action, and we were like, that's not how you do that.
And then like
And
at
then he
one
just starts.
point, yeah, Paprika turns into like like Tinkerbell at one point, just kind of flies around, and there's like some mythology there where they're talking about like Oedipus, and like she turns into like a, I guess it's a, is it a sphinx? It's some kind of like mythological creature.
I feel like I remember the Sphinx. Yeah, that seems right.
Um, yeah, it's anime, so there's going to be some female groping, unfortunately, so that's there. Um,
You don't have to say it's anime. You can say it's Japanese.
oh,
Because
okay.
I mean, we, where's this Japanese movie? Is it really a Japanese movie if they don't rape a woman? Like,
Oh, goodness. And then at the end, it just kind of ends with like, what is the this little girl that starts sucking up things and turns into um, evil, or turns into like a white version of like the guy. So like the bad guy turns into kind of like a Godzilla sized like creature that's black, and she turns into one that's white, and then she like absorbs him. And then, oh, remember the scene when the bad guy like he's like, I figured out a pun earlier that I wanted to mention. So he is the chairman, and he's actually a chair. He's actually a man in a chair. Did you see
yes,
that?
he is the chair. He is the chairman
Yep,
until he starts growing like octopus tree legs
yep. That's what I was getting
things.
at there.
It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
what the hell?
Oh, and there's that part where Paprika turns into like Pinocchio, which was like, oh, okay. So man, this movie's like all over the place, and I'm sure we brought up the fact that the big guy turned into, what, a toy robot or whatever at one point, and so much to talk about with this. I know this one's gonna be like rewarding on repeated viewings. Like I'll definitely wait a while before I watch this again, but I look forward to maybe getting my mind around it a little bit better because there's so much to it. It's just a
Man,
lot to talk about.
sitting here thinking about, as we are talking about all these things, and I'm just like, it sounds like he was on a lot of drugs, just a lot of drugs. And do I need to be on the same drugs to understand that?
All right, so yeah, I would give it 4 stars. I think it's an excellent movie. Lot there, not quite. It is a little messy, so it's not getting into those upper tier stars. But yeah, definitely think it's an excellent anime.
I mean, I gave it 3 stars, mostly off of how pretty it was and the animation. Like, I think it's a good movie, but I think, being so lost and confused and even talking about it with you going, like, what the hell? Like, it keeps it from being a little bit higher than that
Hmm.
for me. So,
Yep, and yeah, it ends with the cop who was a director as a kid who said that he didn't like movies, and ends up liking movies at the end, and he goes to the movies, and that's the end. So meta, cool. All right, now to our final movie of the night. This is our first pick from the Wheel of Destiny, and Joey rolled his Wheel of Destiny, and he landed on Ryan Johnson's caper, Knives Out from 2019. The very overly simple synopsis of this movie: a detective investigates the death of a patriarch of an eccentric combative family. So, Knives
that is
Out.
definitely overly simple. Because I
So,
don't think anything about this movie is simple.
um, what's your history with whodunits? Are you a fan?
Yes, usually. Like I can't think of like a bunch of them off the top of my head, but I mean, I feel like when I watch them, I'm always like, hell yes, um, and enjoy it. So like this movie, I thought was fantastic.
Okay.
I was about to ask. I remember your reaction at the end of last season when this is what I rolled. You did not seem super thrilled to be watching this movie
I th-
again.
I think it was Clue. I watched Clue either last year or the year before, and I've just come to understand that I'm just not all that into the whodunit mystery thing because I'm not that kind of movie watcher to where I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen. Like sometimes if it's really obvious, I'll think about it a little bit, but like for the most part, I'm just along for the ride. So I think people that really enjoy trying to figure out what's coming in a movie are more into whodunits than me. So I watched Clue, and people just say that movie's super fun and hilarious. And uh, to me, like, I mean, they come up with these elaborate ways, like how the mystery played out, and I'm like, well, that just kind of sounded like you made it up off the top of your head, and it's just not all that compelling to me. Um, it was the same case for Clue. I guess murder mystery with Adam Sandler. I don't exactly recall. I think the humor in that kind of worked for me there. But yeah, I was the first time I saw Knives Out. I was really underwhelmed. But I think we should probably get into the plot because there's a specific point in the plot where it's just like my interest like really plummets. So you want to kind of tee up what the movie's about?
Okay, so you have this young girl, and she's the nurse for this like the patriarch of this really, like it says, eccentric family, but he's rich. They're just crazy wealthy.
And it's because he's
Um,
a mystery writer, right?
yes, you find out that he is a mystery writer. So she's going upstairs, and that's when you first see, she goes upstairs, and then up another set of stairs, and then like another set of stairs. Trying to take this gentleman, his it's Thromby, which is the name, Harlan Thromby, played by Christopher Plummer. We mentioned that.
Are you talking about when the housekeeper discovers that he's dead at the beginning?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So she just keeps going up these stairs trying to take him his medicine, and then you see him, bleeding from the neck, dead on like a couch in like his study,
Uh-huh.
and that kind of starts the movie.
Yep.
And then there's like a big funeral, and well,
I do like the house. It's a really cool looking house.
oh yeah, no,
The production design in the house is awesome. The camera moves pretty good, and I like the music. It has that murder mystery kind of feel, which is fine.
all right. I mean, before we go anything, I mean, like, be 100% real. If Benoit Blanc is not Daniel Craig, this movie's probably not near as good, in my
Okay.
opinion. Because he made this movie, and Chris Evans, and like Ana de Armas. Ana de Armas is
She's the
Marta
cute.
Cabrera.
She's the cute
Yeah,
girl from Blade Runner 2049.
which I have not seen. She's also
Oh
going to be in
no.
another. She's going to be in another movie with Daniel Craig pretty soon. Like,
Okay.
should have seen it in 2020. She's the new Bond girl.
Oh, okay. That works
Yeah,
out pretty well.
yeah. Go figure. So,
I do think the beginning of this movie is the best. Like, because I think the thing that attracted to me most to this movie was the cast. I mean,
oh
you
yeah,
have
the cast is crazy. Daniel Craig, Chris Evans,
Michael
Jamie Lee
Shannon.
Curtis. Yeah, Don Johnson, Toni Collette, Ricky Lindholm,
Hmm.
Christopher Plummer. Like there's just so many
And I was a bit
people in it.
disappointed that like the Jamie Lee, a lot of like the siblings of the family are not really the focus of the story. I mean, they get questioned there at the beginning, which is cool, but then it's really all about like the nurse girl and Daniel Craig and yeah, I was kind of I mean, and the other ones they're just kind of made out to be jerks. And then the kid from It's in there. He's the younger kid, right?
He is. I thought I recognized him, but I couldn't place it. And he's the Nazi who's masturbating in the bathroom. but I so once he's been reported dead, they start doing interviews, and you
Mm-hmm.
see Daniel Craig sitting in the back, and I'm sitting there going like, why are they asking who this guy is? He's just sitting in the back. He's not introduced. They're like, I'm Detective so and so and Trooper so and so, and it's like, okay, why is Daniel Craig back there? Like, what's he doing? And they haven't said anything until eventually they do show somebody going, hey, who was this guy? And he introduces himself. He's a PI, Benoit Blanc, and the first thing that really just kind of it threw me off, but it also intrigued me was I'm so used to seeing Daniel Craig. He's Bond. He's got his British accent, and he comes out with this deep Southern drawl, and it's like that ain't right. Like y'all, that ain't right. And but it intrigued me, and I think it made it work. He did it pretty well. Because like I said, I think he was the best part of the movie. But you're going through all these different interviews, asking everybody questions, trying to like piece together what happened so they can figure out, if it was in fact a suicide.
Right. Because that ends up being important because, I mean, jumping up a little bit, all the family members get cut out of the will, and he ends up giving his whole fortune and his publishing company and the mansion to the nurse who he was just like really good friends with. So like, but if she killed him, then
There's the
that
Slayer clause.
yeah. So like she doesn't get the money. So yeah, that's a big part of the plot.
Yeah. So one of the things that got me in this was, so I was wondering how long they were going to keep up with like the interrogation and like the flashback scenes and all of that, and then like part of the way through the movie they tell you who did it. Like
Yes.
they just show you, and I was not expecting that like at all.
Yeah,
Um,
that's that key moment I was talking about earlier, where like my interest in like what's going on, just like, oh, so we know how he dies. Uh, okay. Now what?
but yeah, then it turns into, well, obviously someone set her up, and trying to figure that out. So the interrogations and stuff still
Well,
continue.
that's not really obvious. I think the mystery. I think it's midway through. You're like, so who hired this detective? That's kind of the mystery, right? It's not until
Yes.
like the very end reveal where the slightest possibility of what how the acts like okay, so she thinks she accidentally kills him by giving him too much morphine instead of his like real drug. And so she's like, okay, you only have a few minutes to live now. She's desperately scrambling for an antidote. She can't find it. And so like he cares for her so much that he's just like, all right, well, you need to do this, and this in order to get away, because I'm a crime writer and I know how to get you out of my own death story. And yeah, then he offs himself.
Yeah.
And
So I think the mystery there is she going to be able to get away with it? Not necessarily means that she murdered him, but is she going to be
right.
able to keep the family off of her, and maybe prove that she's innocent, so much as not someone set her up. That was a little bit later, but yeah, that prove that she didn't intend to murder him. It was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
That led to him, or I guess keep from people finding out that this happened before he cut his throat, kind of deal. Um, so
I guess we should probably what is it what's the actor who plays the one cop? I should probably look up his name. Do you have IMDb open?
which let's see, Jacob, Jaina, Fran. I'm looking. There's Trooper Wagner. That's Noah Sagan, and where's the detective?
I really liked him, and I think it's Sorry to Bother You. So out of all the
And
cast, I
there's
wanted to give him a shout out as well.
Mr. Prufrock, but that's not the detective. Where is the detective? Detective, no, that's a voice.
Oh, it's Lakeith Stanfield is Lieutenant Elliot. That's who I'm looking for.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, there it is, Lieutenant Elliot. I just skipped over that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So want to give him a shout out as well. So what's next? So Daniel Craig, that great quote, "I suspect foul play." That was a pretty ridiculous scene where they're looking for like footprints out in the woods or whatever, and like she's like stepping all over it, and it's like,
They're
no,
like,
get off the
no.
path, and then the dogs
And
come
then,
running through it. It's pretty ridiculous.
yeah, I mean, I would be real with you. This whole movie is ridiculous, but it's like the right amount of ridiculous. Like that chair that's in the back that's full of knives, and time anybody sits in it, the only thing I can think of is the Game of Thrones.
Oh sure,
Like,
sure.
yeah, I'm just like, well, this is Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that later because that actually plays a part at the very end too, which I thought was
Yeah.
cool that they finally did something with it other than it being just like this really cool looking prop.
I guess to get into the family dynamics a little, Michael Shannon's character is like, so I guess the guy who gets murdered, like his like whole intent is he wants like his family to stop living off of him so much and like make something of themselves. And like Jamie Lee Curtis's character, like professes to be like a self-made woman, but yet she kind of got her start off of her dad's money, and then like Michael Shannon's character just kind of runs the publishing company for him, and there's a daughter-in-law whose husband died, and she's like
Toni Collette.
she's double dipping on the money that's supposed to be going to her daughter's college. And then Jamie Lee Curtis's son is Chris Evans, and he's Ransom. He just, he shows up, and you can tell he's probably like a bad dude, and yeah, he's a bad dude.
Well, yeah, he's like, when you think of like a trust fund baby, like that's him. He's just kind of arrogant, and he's like, I'm fucking rich, and he's got the older, but like not older because they can't afford it, but older because it was more expensive, Beamer kind of thing. And he's just, yeah. And for a while, you only see him, like, you see the same scene of him like 3 times. And that's like all you see of him for the longest time. And you're just like, man, is Chris Evans even really in this movie?
Yeah, later on for sure. All right, so yeah, they're investigating, and then they announce like what's going on with the will. So it was a pretty good scene whenever like the younger grandchild is like calls up the nurse, and she's like, oh, I hope you're doing okay, and then like she tries to talk her into like renouncing the will or whatever, and then you see like the whole family's been egging her into it. So that was a cool scene. I was really annoyed
Let's just say, because what you had seen of Meg, especially Meg's interactions with Marta, was that they were friends, and like genuinely she wasn't as rotten as the rest of them, but then she's still the one, they use that to their advantage to try to like get her to talk herself out of the wheel. Well, not the wheel, the will. Right. So yeah, that was an interesting scene. I was expecting, because you see them talking, it's mostly Marta, and then they show Meg for like a split second, and then she hangs up the phone, and it's like the whole family's there, and you're just like, yep, that's what I suspected the whole time.
And then let's see. I was really annoyed by how her what is the nurse's name?
It's Marta.
Oh, Marta, that's right. I was really annoyed
Marta
that
Cabrera.
her phone screen was cracked. That really irritated me.
Well, I mean, that was to show that she was poor, brother, and couldn't afford a new phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good reasoning, I guess.
I mean, because she's like very poor, even though she works for these wealthy people, and they all say, oh, you're part of the family and we take care of you. It's like, yeah, but I still got like a broken like 4-year-old phone.
I love that what the mug she's sipping out of at the very end, it says like, this is my house or something on it.
Yeah, well, that's the same one she was filling up in the beginning. It's like my house, my coffee, or my coffee, my house. I don't remember the exact, but it was the same mug from the beginning.
Right. And so yeah, she ends up hooking up, or like, yeah, they announce the will, and so she goes to and like the family's like going after her, but then like Ransom's like, hey, come over right with me, and so they go to the a
It's like a
restaurant to kind of
diner.
have some beers. It's obviously important that we mention that she can't lie or else she regurgitates, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, so that's a big plot point like throughout the whole movie that she lying makes her physically ill.
And so so Chris Evans forces her to tell the truth, and so like, I mean, this is should we, you want to go ahead and say like, I mean, at that point, like he's setting up like his plot or whatever, because I guess he's the it's so
The
weird.
antagonist. I
Yeah,
mean,
basically.
he is. At this point, you don't know a ton about him other than he's supposed to be like this rotten person. But then you see him like helping her out. He's like, "Oh
Right.
yeah, fuck my family. They can do it all on their own.
Yeah, he
You're gonna
makes
give me
her.
you're gonna give me my cut of the will, but like
Mhm.
screw these guys. They're horrible."
And he had a and he clues her into the fact that like the toxicology report will obviously show that like what the cause of death would be, and so they're off to like go and get that, but then they find out like that place was burned down, and she finds the piece of mail that's blackmailing her, because it's like the header of the toxicology report and says, oh, I know what you did or whatever. um, and then that's when they get stopped. That's when there's the police chase.
Yeah, like the medium speed police chase.
Um, I really like the shot where it was like an outside shot of the car and showed her driving, and yeah, that was the worst police chase ever.
I wish we would have taken the Beamer.
um, yeah, and so yeah, her and Daniel Craig start driving around, and he's like, "Well, I gotta make a pit stop," and so like she goes to the blackmail location, and she sees that the housekeeper is there. Um, and you want to describe that part?
So yeah, she's in like this abandoned back room or something of like a laundromat or an office building or whatever.
Yeah,
And she walks in and it's
abandoned.
real dark, and you see like the shadowy figure sitting down. You can tell it's female. And so I'm like, oh, it's the housekeeper. And she finds the housekeeper. The
Oh.
housekeeper is dead. Well, it's really the only person that
Well,
it really could
she's
have.
all drugged up.
Yeah. So
She's
you think
morphined.
she's dead, I guess I should say. Um,
Well, then
and
at
then
first there's like a spider crawling her face, which is kind of crazy, and then like she snaps back and starts yelling at her.
yeah, she starts saying, "You did this. You did this."
Right.
And she's freaking out, but she decides, um, like her medical bag is there, and it now magically has the antidote in it
Did
that
it?
was missing. Yes, I
Hmm.
don't know if they show you that part right then or later,
I
but
didn't piece that together. I just know. I just remember doing Marta doing like the CPR and calling the ambulance and stuff.
yeah, but and then the ambulance
No,
gets there, and
there wouldn't have been the antidote there, or she dies.
yes, she would die without the antidote. Yes, but I don't know if they show you that then or if they show you that the antidote is there later.
Huh.
In the
Well,
the
she didn't
big
use the
reveal at the
antidote.
end,
I mean, she didn't use the antidote because she dies.
she dies later,
Right.
um, in
Oh.
the hospital. But
Oh, okay. So she could have still died even though she got the antidote. Okay.
yes, because it showed her in the end sequence, when they were like Benoit was going through everything that happened. It shows when he's talking to Ransom. It shows her pulling out the antidote out of the bag because he has to put the antidote back in the bag to make his story work.
Right.
So then he puts it back in, and then it shows her going through the bag and finding it and using it. Like it was real quick, but yeah. So anyway, now she um I guess she's trying to find the whole toxicology report because she said copy or something like that, and she's trying to find out where it's going to be.
So
And they
this is the
figure
part
out,
where they're going back to the house
yeah, they're going back to the house,
after
and
she's like confessed everything to.
to Benoit because he's like, you're going to tell me everything.
Mhm.
So they pull up, and then Meg says something like, "Oh, I could really use one of the house. I think it's the housekeeper's pot." And she's like, "Oh, I know where it is," and they find it in the clock where all the weed has been heading throughout the
Right.
movie. And then Benoit.
It ends up being Evans, Marta, Benoit, and the cops, and then
Yeah,
they start saying, because Benoit has that whole this is a donut, and the mystery was the hole in the middle of why I was hired, but really there's another hole in that hole, making it its own donut. Okay.
I take my straw and put it in your milkshake, and there's my milkshake. That's
You
the
drink
tone
my
you were just
milkshake.
using. Milkshake, donut, it's either
Very-
one of them I would take right now. That would be pretty awesome.
Oh goodness. So yeah, it's the whole debrief of like what happened, and it's like way overboard. I want to say of like the level of like this happened and then this happened and this happened, and I'm like, that's a lot of stuff happening.
Oh, and you finally find out who hired him, which was in fact Chris Evans,
Right.
Ransom, whose name is Hugh Ransom Drysdale is his name. And
Right.
so Homegirl wasn't saying you did this; she was saying Hugh did this.
Right.
But
And then
that
so
was
like he was, and then like so the old great grandma or whatever, that's the reason she said ransom your back or whatever whenever like she saw somebody climbing on the trellis, because he went up there first and he messed with her medicine bag and switched like the labels or whatever, so like she would accidentally poison him, but she didn't, so that felt a little unnecessary. Oh, and you're a good nurse.
yeah.
Well, didn't she say they said it like 3 times? You're such a good nurse. It's like, okay.
Yeah, he switched the labels on the medicine, but her knowing what they looked like just at
Yeah.
like how they looked coming out, so she ended up had given him the right medicine. She'd given him the 3 milligrams of morphine and the other 100 milligrams of the medicine he was supposed to have.
Right.
So if Harlan had let her call the ambulance, he would have lived.
Right.
He wouldn't have died, but he did in fact just commit suicide. Um,
And then the housekeeper was actually involved with the blackmail, but Chris Evans responded and killed her.
well, yeah, she was trying to blackmail Chris Evans,
Right.
because she had seen him when he came back at the funeral to put all the medicine and stuff back.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And then what? Marta lies to him and says like, yeah, the housekeeper made it or whatever. And then we find out it was a lie because she ralphs in his face.
Yeah.
He's like, what the fuck? Yeah.
she's
I guess you can talk about the knife part, right?
Yeah, so there was a part earlier in the movie where he picks up the dagger that he ends up killing himself with, and he's like, such and such. People can't tell a prop from the real thing. So after she vomits on Chris Evans' face at the end, and he had admitted to everything, so they had him for arson,
Mm-hmm. I was recording it.
Arson, ransom, blackmail, just everything, attempted murder, like everything under the book. He was like, "Oh, what's attempted murder? I have a good lawyer." And so he pulls one of those knives out of the knife back thing. I don't know what to call it, but this thing is
Like
just
a
bunch of
retractable, was it a retractable blade or whatever?
It was a prop. It was a prop knife, like you
Right.
would use in a play or a movie. So when you stab somebody, it collapses in. And
Out of all the
it's
knives he
like
picked, it was awfully
it's really
convenient.
dramatic.
That was the
It's
one.
all it's in slow mo, and then he lands, and like the way that it did the sound, I was like, it's a prop knife. And sure enough, it was in fact a prop knife. So, yeah. So then they end up getting him. He's going away for murder, and
Didn't he say like that's unfortunate?
yeah, I think that's unfortunate. So then you see Don Johnson, which is Jamie Lee Curtis's husband, and Ransom, Chris Evans' father. like trying to pay the cops off with some cash, and it's like, but you guys are broke now. And like
Mm-hmm.
all of them are just like looking at her like they hate her so much, and she's up on the balcony with the mug. Um,
And one part I noticed this time, I didn't notice the first time. So like Don Johnson's been cheating on his wife, and
yes.
Chris Plummer had I guess written that on a note, but Don Johnson thought that nothing was on the note, but then Jamie Lee Curtis knew to like put a flame underneath it, and it revealed that like yeah, he was cheating on her. So yeah, I didn't notice that last time, so that was kind of cool reveal.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool that he had broken back into the desk to take the letter out, saw that it was blank, left it on the desk, and that's how she found it. She never would have seen it if he hadn't been looking for it.
True.
So.
All right, so yeah, it pretty much wraps it up. I saw you gave it a lofty rating, huh?
Yeah, oh no, I loved it. It's currently my #1 movie for the year, which is still early. I'm only like 10 first watches deep or something. So, but I gave it the good old 5 stars. I do love me some Rian Johnson. So I think all of his movies that I've seen, I think I've seen 4 of his 5 major full-length movies, and I loved all of them. So. This is the second one of his movies we've talked about, actually.
Yeah, this is hard for me. I'm just really not into the whodunits, and like from the point where we already know like how the guy died, I was never into like the other mysteries. First time I saw this, I rated it a 3. I mean, it's a really well-made movie. It just doesn't compel me, so I can't say it's a bad movie. I didn't hate it. It's just not really for me. So I guess it'll stay at 3 stars. I didn't hate watching it. It just doesn't pull me in like it does a lot of other people.
Fair enough. That's fair.
All right, so it is time to do some reveals for where we're going next. Okay.
Yeah.
And the first time I had my computer up before it crashed 2 times in a row, I had the my Wheel of Destiny ready, so I'll have to re-get that ready. But in the meantime, do you want to tell us what our feature movie will be next time? Last time I gave you the category of late period Kubrick film.
Yeah, 64 plus. Now you said in the last episode you had an idea about what I was gonna pick. You had a guess.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think I'm gonna pick?
I think you're gonna pick Barry Lyndon.
Any particular reason why you suspected I would pick Barry Lyndon?
I don't think you've seen it before. I don't think you know much about it, and that seems like something you would do.
Okay, so I'm gonna be real. When you said that, I honestly thought you were trying to like see if I would pick 2001: A Space Odyssey, despite the fact I have said I want that to be my 2001st movie.
Right.
I sat there and I thought about it. I thought about this. I honestly did not decide on what movie I was picking until about 9:00, 9:30 tonight.
Wow.
I at first was thinking, okay, I looked at which ones I hadn't seen. So 2001 and Barry Lyndon. And I did some research on Barry Lyndon, and even though I do like period pieces, that movie looks like I would fall the fuck asleep in 5 minutes. Like I don't think I would like that movie. And so I thought about, well, I think both of us had said we hadn't really seen Eyes Wide Shut in a long time. So I was like, hey, maybe I'll do Eyes Wide Shut. But then I was like, depending on, how my schedule and stuff looks, that's long. I may not really get into it. So I finally just said, you know what? Fuck it. And we're going to go with Full Metal Jacket.
Okay.
I mean, we've both already seen it multiple times.
Yeah.
I'm really angry that you cut like half of his movies out for me to pick from. Was it because you didn't want me to pick The Killing specifically?
I'm just more. I just think all his later work is every one of them's a masterpiece, and I just really wanted to talk about like, for me, what is a great Kubrick film. So I really wanted to just narrow you down to those ones I love so much.
But like, isn't Passive Glory and Spartacus like Spartacus is one of the most well-known?
You just own that movie.
I am Spartacus. Oh, and for a minute.
I watched Spartacus last year, so.
I almost went really outside of the box and basically wanted to go with a cheater pick since you like cheater picks so much, and I was going to go with AI.
That would have been clever.
Even though that's but
Steven
I
Spielberg.
decided I was going to stick within the actual box. So,
Okay.
Full Metal Jacket.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that 2 years ago on 4th of July because I always watch like a classic war movie on 4th of July. So awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about our first Kubrick film, Full Metal Jacket. I have a lot of history with that one. Didn't let me down.
Also, it was between that or The Shining on which one I would probably rag on the least. So I just, Oh,
I was wondering if you might throw me a bone with Clockwork. I'm like, no, that's not Joey's style.
you never throw me bones. Why would I throw you a bone? And
Surely I've thrown you a bone at some point, haven't I?
I have no desire to watch Clockwork Orange again, like whatsoever. So negative.
Huh. Yeah, I was thinking. So you were not feeling the period piece Barry Lyndon. I mean, I would have been great with Barry Lyndon too. Like I said, that was the main reason I had the cutoff because I'll be great with any one of those movies. So yeah, Full Metal Jacket. Look forward to talking about why I think that's a masterpiece.
The first half of that movie. Okay,
the whole thing is a masterpiece.
We'll get into that in a couple of weeks. We'll see how I feel after a rewatch.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let me get my random number picker up here. Doop, boop, 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 boop. Number generator.
Random number generator.
All right, from 1 to 50. Okay. And I have alphabetized my list. Yep. I should rank it so I have the numbers there. Okay, cool. All right, so spinning the wheel of destiny gives me a 49. Whoa.
That's what number I had, 49.
Get the hell out of here. It's not really random. All right, I have no idea what's going to be. Let me scroll down and find out that it is Waking Life. Interesting. This is a Richard Linklater film. This is animated.
Okay, and Linklater did
Scanner Darkly, right?
No, what? Oh, Linklater. Didn't he do
He did the Before trilogy. And Dazed and Confused.
That's the one I was trying to think of. Dazed and Confused, yeah.
Let me read the synopsis for Waking Life. Because this has been on my radar forever. It just never. It's supposed to be a real artsy animation movie. Okay, yeah. Richard Linklater from 2001. Dreams, what are they? An escape from reality or reality itself? It's another dream animated movie, Joey. Aren't you ready? The synopsis from Letterboxd. Waking Life is about a young man in a persistent, lucid, dreamlike state. This is such fate. The film follows its protagonist as he initially observes and later participates in philosophical discussions that weave together. Oh, it's going to be kicking and screaming all over again.
Man, you're going after season 2, where so many of the movies were like I enjoyed them from both me and you because we had these strict categories, and now you're just gonna pick the most random weird shit for me to spin and watch for this podcast this year. Oh my god.
Oh well, to be fair, I didn't want to watch Knives Out, so we'll see. We'll see where it goes from here.
But yeah, I picked like a big, well-known movie. You're gonna pick random ass shit I've never heard of.
Oh, Richard Linklater. He's a well-known director. Before trilogy.
I think.
Have you seen the Before trilogy?
I have not.
Oh, brother, you'd love that. That's like some of the best romance movies of all time.
Oh, I mean, yeah, because he did the one, and then it was like it's Ethan Hawke and
Julie Delpy, the one from White.
Yeah. And it's just all three. Yeah. No, Carl told me about that. That's
I think they're like 9 years apart, and those are amazing.
Yeah, I actually.
And he did Boyhood too.
Yeah.
So, Cool. All right. So, what is the category that I'll be pondering over that has something to do with Baywatch? Oh Lord! Please, are you gonna make me pick a Dwayne the Rock Johnson movie?
Oh, you are close. You are close. It does have to do with The Rock, but not in that way. It is a movie starring a wrestler not named Hulk Hogan or Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Since you wanted to be super crazy specific, I gave you anime, just a super broad spectrum, and then you're all like Stanley Kubrick, 1964 or later. So, a movie starring a wrestler. You can't just have fucking Stone Cold in the back for 2 seconds.
Okay.
Starring a wrestler not named Hogan or Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
How many are... Should I pick Ferdinand where John Cena's the voice of the bull?
I mean, John Cena he's in a ton of movies. The Miz is in a ton of movies. I am pretty sure Roddy Piper is the star of a few movies.
That's true.
Yeah, it can be done. Stone Cold's been in plenty of movies. Yeah. I mean...
Top 50 appearances by wrestlers in the movies.
I mean, it's going to be 50 movies from Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Oh, you shouldn't have had the Hulk. You should have had not... Well, if there would have been like an appearance of a wrestler, we could have done like Rocky 3.
Well, yes, but no, I wanted it to be a starring role. I want you to pick like, you're making me pick Kubrick, and that's not really something I'm going to dig on. So I figure most of these movies are going to be big, dumb action movies. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Starring, I will let starring also be if they're like the villain, like the lead villain or something.
Mm-hmm. A major role, right?
Yeah, not just in the background.
Right.
So like, I would even... like if you picked the remake of The Longest Yard, because there's like 500 wrestlers in that movie, like, okay, maybe, my hyperbole is being a little over the top there, but, that's the whole point of hyperbole. But, that, like, has, I don't know, like 5 or 10 wrestlers, like, off the top of my head I can think of in it. So, like, that would be probably okay. And I think Stone Cold's actually, like, one of the main bad guys in that movie, sure enough.
Kevin Nash was in Magic Mike.
Yes, Kevin Nash was in Magic Mike. He was also in John Wick for like 2 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah. Bro,
I want to pick.
Real. If you go hard and you want to pick Magic Mike, like I won't even be mad at you.
Oh wow, we could go. Have you ever heard of Tor Johnson?
I don't believe so. Not by the name.
He was in Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Oh, yes, I have heard of that. Are you going to pick fucking Plan 9 from Outer Space? Are we about to start that rabbit hole where we're intentionally picking shitty movies?
No, I don't. Wow, Conan, Andre the Giant was in Conan the Destroyer. So many.
Yeah, he was in a movie we watched the last season on the podcast.
Oh wow, this is a good category. There's a lot to choose from. Now that I'm actually looking at a list where I actually have some movies to like think about here. Awesome.
Yeah, but if you could pick The Rock, then it's like, okay, you're gonna pick like Walking Tall, or you're gonna pick like one of the 7 Fast and the Furious movies. It's just like Jumanji. Like if I didn't caveat that, you're probably gonna pick The Rock, like because he's the most well known. Him or John Cena or Hulk Hogan, and then he is in like the Nanny movie, and I'm not about that life. So,
man, I want to just pick one right now, but no, we got to keep what listeners we have in suspense, right? See what Justin will pick.
Yes, I have no idea what you're gonna pick, and I'm very, very intrigued.
There's so many choices.
If you pick Plan 9 from Outer Space, you did that to yourself, because that's, boy howdy. Watch that in 2019, and
okay, I've never seen it.
Watch that again.
Well, Kevin Nash was in the Punisher too.
He was in the Punisher. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah. No, he did well for himself after wrestling.
Of course, Rowdy Piper's in the number 1 pick.
Oh, is that They Live?
You watched that last year, right?
I did watch that last year, like not even like a year ago last year.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that to you. I have 2 strong contenders right now.
I mean, look, have you seen They Live? I assume you have, but
I have, like 3 years ago. So yeah, it's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
That would be one I would not have any problem rewatching. So just...
Hint, wink, wink.
Look, I was gonna go with a different category, and it was gonna be even more specific, but I couldn't get it as specific as I wanted without making it like outright. This is the exact movie I want you to pick. So I decided not to do that.
Appreciate that.
Because I felt like that wouldn't be quite fair.
So there's this movie, 12 Rounds, with John Cena in it. And I'm pretty sure I've seen the beginning of this movie like 5 times. And I think I fell asleep every single time I started watching this thing.
I'm also pretty sure that both of us have seen the much better version of that movie with some different actors in it.
Oh, what's that called?
It's called Die Hard 3.
Ah, okay. Nice.
Oh man, I saw 12 Rounds, and I was just like, yeah, I watched this movie before. It's called Die Hard with a Vengeance. So I was trying to see when I watched this movie, but it won't tell me.
All right, dude. All right, I guess we've chatted it up quite a bit tonight.
Oh yeah,
So,
it's well past my bedtime.
thanks everyone who listens to the show. We enjoy doing it, especially whenever it works right. Make sure you subscribe. How do they get in touch with us? We'd love to hear from you.
They can get in touch with us a couple different ways. They can go to our Facebook page, where there's a nice big red fancy button that lets you email us, which that email address is, if you just want to type it all out, is the Average Joe's Movie Clubcast at gmail.com. While you're at the Facebook page, you can write us a message through there. If you have either one of our personal Facebooks or letterboxes, you can get in contact with us there. So make make sure you subscribe. But if you're on Letterboxd and you're not following us, we'll take that too. Some people have like 10 times the followers that I have, but
I like
name any names, Justin.
when I say I'm dedicated. I do like how the season 3, the end of these shows work out with all these surprises. It's pretty intriguing. Makes us want to get past this whole movie chat and get on with the show. So,
yeah.
Joey, why do we like to do this show?
Because we love talking about movies.
Not everybody.
And other random shit.
See you in your dreams.
You and I have unfinished business.
Oh? And what's so stinking about it?
The moment of catching a feeling, zero to something.
I think this just might be my masterpiece.